Every first Saturday of the month, Vilnius Picture Gallery is inviting artists to draw. So we're going to take on their offer. Come with me. Hello.
Hi.
Rita?
Yeah.
I believe. What do we have here? And are we allowed to use everything that's...
Yeah.
I see pastels.
Yeah, oil pastels, dry pastels,
Mm-hmm.
watercolor pencils, usual pencils, and so on. Some watercolor pads. Yeah, and you can use everything you want in here.
Courtesy of the museum.
Yes.
Nice. And how many people in general come?
From 15 to maybe even 25.
Okay. And is it getting like more popular? Or?
Yeah. Well, today is really sunny, so there's not a lot of people.
Oh,
Everyone's sunbathing today, but yeah, there's more and more people coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. We'll have a look and see where we can settle. Thank you. So this was a sketch from Vladislav Tchaikovsky, Do You Want a Rose, from 1879. And you can see here that I use very minimal material, and which is what we're going to do again today. Only ink. The research, the focus was on values and a little bit of the, I would say, dynamic within the composition. And we'll see how the process goes. We have to find another painting that would suit our needs just fine. We are settling on this very romantic piece by Henryk Semiratsky called Imitating Gods. So clearly late academic, but with very nice value range, very broad value range, with very bright highlights and mostly dark areas. So let's see if we can decompose it only using ink. One of the key to success or failure, if you're going to sketch outside, is preparation of tools. Do you know already what you're going to use? And if not, do you know what's available at the gallery? So for the moment, I'm practicing values using ink because I really like the commitment of ink. You don't have room for a lot of mistakes. So I only have 3 tools today. Palomino Blackwing, just to indicate very large blockings. And I try not to erase it. Second is Faber-Castell PITT FM, because it brings a little bit of, it's not really a pen and it's not really a brush, it has a little bit of pressure, sensitivity. And the last one is my trusty Pentel Brush Pen that I've used for like over 20 years. And this is to fill, larger areas and get something very rhythmical sometimes when I want larger brush strokes. So this is basically a larger version of this one. So the first part for me with the pencil is twofold. First one is to establish the frame itself inside my paper, so as to keep control of proportions and so on. And I noticed that the frame of the painting is a little bit longer than my paper. And then I'm really just blocking the biggest shapes. For example, first one will be pretty much splitting this painting in half. And going from the biggest to the least maybe relevant shapes. We have this going on. Within this corner we have this going on. Somewhere around the middle We have two figures. Notice that I don't pay attention to the figures themselves, but only the shapes they are making and where within this frame they are going to land. We have the head of the boat. I'm not sure how this headpiece is called. And when doing that, I keep everything else that is around the shape in mind. For example, when I did this one, I try to see this line at the same time, and I try to see this line, how those three tend to converge, for example, in this painting. And I don't need to be exact because all the rest I will do with the ink. Just want to know that I'm within an acceptable ballpark. Alright, we have a statue here. Somewhere. And you will see that, however synthesized, I'm still paying attention to the direction of the line in comparison to, let's say, the vertical of the painting. So I fixed a little bit just my drawing to make sure that everything was working well, and let's start with the ink. I need to separate maybe the most obvious places first. For example, that's an easy one. Sometimes you need to squint, except to make sure we see the dark and light values. But as you can see in the one we chose, we have a lot of dark values. So we will have some challenges at some point down the line to separate our values, but that's all right. Because this is why we're here. Just trying to get my shapes correctly. Need to make sure this doesn't take too much space because it's really not the focus. I'm not painting them. I'm not drawing them. I'm drawing the negative space between them, and that's enough to indicate a figure. We have a hand, and up there very loosely I will get my structure. Alright, maybe that's enough for here. I like this tree, and I like any form of tree that will allow me to be a bit looser with my brush. So here I have to remember that there's the solid form of the tree, but this one is covered in leaves, so I can start kind of vibrating, for lack of a better word, around the form. And there we go. Here I need to get faster and then back to this beautiful vibration. And then back to a bit more angular situation. There's another tree, a major one in the composition because it's closing top left corner. But it disappears also here, so I can get him lost in these leaves. I'm not drawing leaves, I'm drawing maybe sensation of leaves, vibration of leaves. Here too. I need to finish my angle. So here as contrast, we have pretty jagged edge with a lot of value change from the clearing to the cliff. So here I take a little bit more time and try to reconnect with what I made here. We have this one was going up. Yeah, not too bad. And let's finish the clearing here. There's a space here I'm kind of missing, but it's so unimportant for the painting that I think we can bring them together. It's going to be okay. Maybe finishing this angle. It's almost like an old French Belgian comic book here, inking with intent to get an immersive experience of the forest. Do we have anything left to map? Oh, this one. Here we should at least start mapping, but using little jagged lines, but not as hard as those one because it's still reflection in the water. So how about I get more floating lines like this? Here we are missing definitely a line. And what's going on in here? There's a corner, but it's also hidden. So I will not make too much time with this one. Some leaves falling down. So here again I get my little vibration going. And all of this will be anyway hidden, so it doesn't really matter. My boat is a bit low, isn't it? I notice it now. Or not. Yeah. So the boat can be lifted up just a bit. Yeah, I think we have mapped correctly. We'll move to the values. And this is where you really have to squint. So, by squinting, this is what I extracted. First one will be up there, since we started there. Something very important here, even when I'm feeling black areas, I keep my brush strokes mindful. I'm not feeling them like this or like this. I'm trying to follow form at any given moment. So for example, here I went like this, and sometimes a shadow, the delimitation of a shadow will be worth your attention. So here I'm trying still to understand the growth of this tree that wanted to go this way, but maybe got held up by the other tree. All of this is in the shadow. We'll get back to it, but it's not as dark as this tree in front of it. We'll get back to that black patch. Now, my riverbank. And as you see, I'm following it in wavy patterns. I don't want to feel it like this because it will show up. Quality of line is something that is very understated, and for some reason, for obvious reason, highly appreciated when you see it. But I don't hear a lot of instruction or teaching of this specific thing to do and keep in mind. Sometimes we do have to just wrap around the form like this to make sure I have my rim light. But as soon as I'm out of, I would say, danger zone, I can just go back to this. Right, beyond that, I think the second pen will be more useful. Right, here we'll have to be a bit more careful. There are a few things floating in the water. There are lilies, and there's even a swan here, a bit hidden. Maybe the swan will just disappear in a, let's call it, a nondescript shape. But the simple indication of horizontal lines in the water is enough for the brain to just finish the information. This is dark, this is dark. This boat is very clearly worth throwing in the dark almost entirely. I'm still following my pattern. There are wings here. I didn't draw them. I think they can be alluded to. And again, the human brain will do the rest. If it sees the head of a swan probably, or a sculpture. And then something that resembles wings. All of this is all lost in the shadow. Don't need to think too much. And look at this contrast where the panel is held. We have a black, whatever this is called. I am not a boat person. I enjoy looking at them and being on them, but I do not have the vocabulary. Now, obviously, we have to be mindful of every step because there's no going back from brush pen, which is why it's all the more, I would say, wonderful to use. Because suddenly, it's a bit like a performance. You're really alive in front of the drawing. You have to think without overthinking, if that makes sense. Think, act, think, act. Okay, for now this is good. This will not deserve such a black treatment, the tree. Okay, so the next step will be to do everything intermediate between light and dark. We can only keep the light of the paper on this patch, this tiny patch on the statue, and the lady, which means everything will need to be brought a bit given darker values. Let's get back to this little mausoleum or statue house. And again, we need to respect the form that we are going to depict here. It's in the shadow. Luckily for us, there's not too much going on, so I can try to wrap it up quickly. This is still in the shadow here, but we have changed the direction. Okay. Statue is also in the shadow. But a bit of this box is in the light, so this is interesting. And under the box I can separate it, just doubling a bit of my shoulders. The staircase will deserve a horizontal treatment. understanding there are two set of stairs. But it's a bit dark for me to see from here. Then it just jumps in the water. Okay, let's do the most fun part, which would be all this cliff. So I need to cut through now a bit more subtle value variations. There's definitely darker patches here and there, and I can try to treat them as such. So now I'm thinking in 2-dimension again. I try to forget what we're looking at, but I try to concentrate on what I'm seeing, which is not the same as looking. When I see, I'm not discriminating in terms of object, just in terms of light and shadow. There's a form, there's a shape, here's another shape that would loosely connect with this one. And here's my trusty squinting useful. I see some jagged things here and there. I don't need to be exact again. This is a place where being rhythmical and a bit faster makes a lot of sense. Right behind our model we have something that can frame them. Here's his hair. This part is a bit bigger than it needs to be. I have some light here. And some leaves here. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, we moved a bit faster forward and through the grinding part basically, which was just getting values correct, especially in those kind of tricky area because we don't have a lot of edges, so we have to make do with a bit more flexibility in our hands. But yeah, overall it's doing all right. So we'll just finish with the two figures, which are the statue and the couple. So I need to contrast the darker fabric of this young man, making sure that the face is well defined and within our frame. So I'm just going to follow his tunic. Maybe get him in the dark. This way the female figure comes out much more. She also has fabric here. I think we agreed it was the shawl. Maybe this can be treated differently. To contrast, now these are going this way, these are going that. And let's give him a bit of form and shadow. She still has a somewhat darker spot than the highlight, so we need to do something with that. I think we can also get her in the lights. Let's get it as softly as possible. Remove her from at least one layer. Yeah, now we have our white spot where it should be. Statues have very delicate construction lines, and I think beyond that we can just rub along the form. Just to get them out of the light. And along her back and her hips we can still indicate this shadow, this patch of light here. Make everything disappear. Okay, we'll just fill in where there shouldn't be any white. At this stage, I'm filling with an almost abstract way, but just following this sense of wind that I appreciated. Shouldn't be any light here. Bit of light here. And yeah, let's get some trees out of this mess. Maybe here, maybe there. And have a look. Yeah, I think it's all right. We made it. So yeah, this is a black and white study. We're using only ink, no marker, and we are really just focusing on composition and values. So it's a very good exercise. There are many other ways to visit a museum and study. It's one of them, and maybe in the future we'll see different ways. Hope you enjoy.